It's CORSO and CATONE. Brought to you by CORSO Law Group, Arizona's leading criminal and traffic law firm. Now for the real deal New England feel. CORSO and CATONE.
Welcome into CORSO and CATONE, the real deal New England. Stop laughing. You're already laughing, Mark. You know?
Oh, God.
I should tell people what you were talking about when we were just now before we came on. So anyway, we are the real deal New England feel, and you're watching us on YouTube. Well, there's Mark. We see him there. Joe is with us in the booth. You're on YouTube. And hey, when you're on YouTube, make sure you subscribe, like the show, give us that thumbs up, and make sure you're subscribing. And check out our shorts and our short reels. Those are pretty popular. So make a comment. We'll play it on the show. But if you're listening to us, you're doing it on iHeartRadio, Apple Podcast, 790 The Score, anywhere you podcast. And you could also email us on our mailbag, corso.catone@gmail.com. Joe's putting the banner across about Heated Hotline, 855-313-PATS, P-A-T-S. It's a message line, so leave a message. Anything's on the table. We'll pick one, and let's hope it's yours. Got a good one today. We're going to talk Yankees versus Red Sox. Got some contracts that were signed for the Red Sox. We'll discuss that. And going to go back in the week in Weekly Rewind. Have some things to go over there with Diggs and the owners' meetings that went on in the NFL. And, of course, Catone's comments. We'll see what he's got for us there. And then B's and C's, we inch closer to the playoffs, so we'll discuss some things about that. I don't think we're going to talk much Bruins, though, today. So.
Nah, I don't think so. They're not much. If you're tuning in towards the playoffs.
If you're tuning in for the Bruins, you're going to be very disappointed. And we're going to talk a little NCAA tournament. And make sure before we get out of B's and C's, we talk a little bit of LeBron and Stephen A. Smith. I want to talk about that saga that's going on.
Yeah, right?
Hi, guys.
That's getting ridiculous.
Oh, yeah. How are we doing, gentlemen?
Yeah, we're doing it, man.
Wonderful.
Did you have a good week?
3 weeks until the draft.
Excellent. And tomorrow on the Pats Nation, we're going to be breaking down offensive line and defensive line. So don't miss that. 8 a.m.
Can't wait for that.
Mornings.
I've been hearing some of the flagship stations talk about the lead up, and if they're not listening to CORSO CATONE to figure out what's going to happen and who to pick up in the draft, I don't know. We'll be in for another losing season, I'll tell you that.
We're also going to talk about Shedeur Sanders and some of that Giants talk about seeing if we can get him off the board before number 4. We'll do that tomorrow in the Pats Nation. But today, right now, want to talk baseball. We're going to do it in Yankees versus Red Sox. Here we go. That, of course, is Godzilla invading Tokyo, as we have if you're listening to it on the radio or iHeart or anything like that, you don't see the graphics for the Yankees Red Sox. All you
hear the music,
that menacing thing. Anyway, I won't waste any more time. So, Mark, let's talk about the Yankees first. I lost we're recording on Thursday, so they're playing Arizona in game 2 of that series. They lost 7-5 yesterday, but it was their first loss. And they've been hitting the crap out of the ball, huh?
They have. Listen, what are
15 home runs in the first 3 games?
15 home runs. Had 20 runs, 20 something like that against Milwaukee on Saturday. They've been hitting the hell out of the ball. However, they've been getting some scrutiny, Chris, for hitting the hell out of the ball.
Yeah.
What's that all about? What's the scrutiny?
It's like what they're shooting at Godzilla at the beginning of this thing. Those torpedoes coming out of the submarine. Well, it's the Torpedo Bat. This is going to be the big story, I'm sure, all season long about these Torpedo Bats, which you starting to see them all trickle up now. Everybody's using them.
And they're approved. Major League Baseball said they don't violate any rules, which when you look at the shape of the bat, Chris, I find it hard to believe it doesn't violate any rules, but they claim it doesn't violate any rules. I don't know.
Well, there's no – all it talks about is the weight of the bat between a certain point of the bat. So like where the pint tar, I think, ends and where the top of the bat is, it has to be a certain weight. But it doesn't say anything.
It doesn't say anything about the size of the barrel?
No, it doesn't say about how it has to be distributed. The
distribution of it. Okay.
With it. So there was this kid at what's his name? Yeah, I gotta find his name. Aaron Leadhurt, MIT. He's an MIT geek, He went and created.
You know how much money he's making now?
Oh yeah, my God! I wish I went to MIT. So he created this thing. Yankees are using it, and I don't know. I don't know if there's metrics yet out on this as to whether or not that's
probably not.
That's what's causing or allowing for the hits that what the Yankees are doing. But it won't be long. It's like steroids, It won't be long before everybody's using it, and it becomes an even playing field. No, so should it be banned, Mark?
Well, right now, I mean, guys like Judge aren't using it. Judge said, "I'm not switching bats. I got my, I don't need one of those." Right? Basically, taking that stance. Well, I think the only way, Chris, you're going to figure out if it's doing anything is, the analytics guys will start to analyze. They'll dig in and start analyzing, exit velocities off the bat and how far was the home run and what was this batter's exit velocity prior to using that bat when he hit a home run. So they'll come up with statistics through the analytics departments in these teams as they start to study the guys that are using the bats, Chris. But for now, listen. You know me, I'm a traditionalist, right? So you know me, I'm like the old man when it comes to baseball. However, I am going to be okay with these bats because I think it adds something, an element to baseball, some excitement. Hey, listen, if Major League Baseball is okay, their rules are okay with the weight distribution, and it doesn't violate anything, let them use the bat. What's the difference? It's no different, Chris, than when Major League Baseball made adjustments with the baseballs. Remember? And they used to have the strings were either looser or tighter or
we talked about all the spin rates and all that other stuff.
Spin rates and all that's no different than when they played with the baseballs. There'd be more home runs sometimes because the ball had more juice to it than other years it wouldn't. And there's no difference. So now they're allowing a tweak after all these years. They're allowing a tweak to the bat.
What it's got to do with is the strike point, where it strikes the bat. See that?
Absolutely. And it's where the label used to be.
Right. And so
where the label is.
Yeah, what they figured out is when the ball is hitting the bat, it's hitting it on the label, like you said. And so why not put all the weight there? Why Aaron Judge isn't using it, I speculate, is because of his size. Yeah. Because where he's striking the ball is a hell of a lot different than somebody who's not 6. What is he? 6'7", whatever he is. Yeah. Not too many guys are that height. So where the pitch, pitchers pitch where they pitch a lot of times. So that's probably why he's not using it. So I mean, hey, look, anything that gets us talking about baseball in April
is a good thing. Right?
It's a good thing for the game. It's a good thing for the game. Right? Can the Yankees keep this up?
Chris, again, Yankees. Typical Yankees, though, how are they scoring runs, home runs? Well, they're not manufacturing anything, which this is their story every year. You and I come, hey, listen, they get to the playoffs. You can only go so far with that. Last year, it got them to the World Series, but then it stops because eventually you face a team that's got pitching, and it catches up to you eventually.
Tell me, are you Dominguez? Yeah. How do you think he's coming out of it? I mean,
okay, so he hit a home run the other night for his first home run of the season, and typically once he hits one, he gets going. My issue is I think they've messed him up mentally in the outfield. Now every game they got a lead, they bring somebody in for defense. You're taking his bat out of the lineup. Like the other night, they had a 4-2 lead or 4-3 lead. They took him out in the 7th or 8th inning for defense. The other team takes the lead. Well, now his spot in the batting order comes back up, and you took his bat out of the game. So you're not going to be able to continue to do that, Chris. You're going to have to either say he's going to be a full-time DH, which he's not. You don't want to move him back to center, which is an actual position. Stick Bellinger in left. I think Bellinger could handle it. They're going to have to figure something out, but this can't go on all year with him, Chris. Oh, defense replacements and this and that.
I mean, Aaron Boone stinks. Look, he just stinks. You should have started the damn season with the kid in center field.
Absolutely.
End of story. Period. Bellinger, you're playing left field. Here we go. This is how we're going. We'll just worry about what's going on at third base. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But they didn't do that, and you're right. I think so. We'll see if they can keep it up. Yeah, I'm not. I mean, a lot of people are so all geeked up about all these home runs, but Mark and I know better, and about how that can turn out. But speaking of head cases, Okay, let's go. Let's talk about the Red Sox a little bit. So Devers, he broke all kinds of records. And
it wasn't because he was hitting home runs, Chris. That's for sure.
15 strikeouts in 5 games is a major league record. 16. What do you got? 0 for 16.
He was like 0 for 20 with 15 strikeouts.
Yeah, something like that.
Something crazy.
The first 5 games.
Yeah.
So Jim Rice on the I hate the NESN broadcast. So
it's awful.
While Joe's bringing this up, but I give credit to Rice. I mean, we remember back the situation where he was, he got into it with some, nerd staffer or whatever with the Red Sox about trying to teach the kids how to put the ball in play, line drives, all these things, and he got crap for it. Well, this is what he had to say about Devers and the hitting on this team.
Miles per hour on their swing speeds are down as well. So, I mean, TC, you mentioned this earlier. I mean, did they come in out of shape?
He's a Rafael Devers. They talked about it during the broadcast. We talked about it a lot. He didn't start playing until late. It was going to be late, and then he pushed it back 2 more weeks.
Okay, so
he had his shoulder. He hadn't swung it.
He's out of shape. Maybe he's out of shape. I don't know about both of them, but, game shape, playing shape. But, maybe we got to trim a little bit of fat. You know what happens when you trim fat?
Well, we know they're not hitting shape, right? So they're not hitting. Okay, go ahead. We're talking about trimming fat. What happened?
Pig squeal.
Oh.
Where's this going?
Atrocious.
No, I'm just saying, like you trim fat, pig squeal. I mean, that's what you're looking for your pigs to squeal.
They need some squealing.
Home runs.
They need some squealing.
But is it the shoulders? Is it, is he in shape? I mean, we don't know these things. But to me, it looks like the swing is just a little bit behind.
Which is why they're beating him with fastballs.
Correct.
Simple as that.
The swing is a little bit behind because you swing too big.
Okay, so that's atrocious broadcast from NESN.
What was that?
What I took from that, I
You
listened
took
to Jim
something
Rice.
from that?
Some, yeah. You're hearing him talk about the shoulder. His head seems to be out almost on every swing. He's got a high leg kick. His leg is in the air on almost every pitch, just prematurely, and he doesn't look comfortable. Could there be a shoulder issue? I mean, or is he just right now a mental case with this whole third base thing and DHing, and he's trying to fit in?
So the leg kick, Chris, back in the day, they used to teach them the leg kick coincided with when the leg kicked up, you would load, right? So you'd load back, right, when you're ready to swing. So the leg would kick, you'd load on the leg kick. It happened almost simultaneously, right? Leg kick, load, back, forward. But that isn't what seems to be happening with him. I don't know what he's doing with that leg kick, but he's not loading off the leg kick, which sometimes, that would help them with timing. If their timing was off in loading and getting ready for impact of and getting the hands through the zone. But that doesn't seem to be the problem with him, Chris. He's so far off the ball.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous. You're right. He's spinning. He's not even close.
Yeah, I mean, and again, I know maybe he's dealing with something. They talked about his shoulder. I don't know. I don't know that. But but as a team, also, Mark. I mean, if you get some of these numbers a few days ago, everybody's trying to lift the ball. Nobody's just like make contact. Like Jim Rice talks about this. Hit for contact. Just put the ball in play. That's gone. Nobody put the ball in play. I mean, they're leaving runners. I mean, if they're 4 for 24 and coming out of that series against Texas, they were 4 for 24 with runners in scoring position, Mark. I mean, you can't win like that.
The days of guys like Tony Gwynn and Boggs, those days are gone, Chris. Just spray the ball all over the field and bat 340, 350. They don't want that. They want you to bat 290 with 35 home runs.
And their first 4 guys, 6 for 60. 2 through the hitters 2 through 4, or 2 through 5. You're talking Bregman, Cassis, Story, and Devers. Yeah. They're just so. I mean, they got a lot to work on for sure. And
Chris, people got to realize something. I know Devers is getting a rash of crap right now, right? And listen, I'll tell you this: it's not easy. Oh, he can play DH mentally. When you've been a position player your whole life since you were probably 5 years old, 6 years old.
It matters, yeah.
It matters, Chris. Now all of a sudden you're going to sit on the bench. depending on how long the previous inning is, you could be sitting on the bench 45 minutes, an hour before you get back up
Yeah,
and
to
have
hit
to
again.
bat and hit again.
Yeah,
So
three innings go by, 2 innings, 3
mentally,
innings.
you got to stay focused. You got to keep yourself engaged in the game, knowing what's happening out there. A lot of times, Ortiz would be in the back watching film, swinging bats. Like Devers isn't doing that; he's just sitting there. Okay, it takes a different mentality to be a DH, Chris, and I don't think the kid's got that type of mentality to do that. Maybe he'll learn it, but right now, Chris, he just that's not him.
Yeah, he's struggling, and they talking about Ortiz. They're saying he may be working with him. Maybe even Martinez has offered to come up and work with him too. No,
JD.
He God, hit behind Ortiz.
JD Martinez.
No, I'll think of it anyway.
You mean Ramirez, Manny?
Manny. Sorry,
Manny. Yeah.
Talking about that, but anyway, the point is. He needs some help. I will say this before we go to break. The Red Sox seem to be, they seem to be saying, hey, we're in. They signed Crochet to a long-term deal after only 9 starts or something like that.
Yep, and they're in supposedly intense negotiations with Campbell.
They signed him. They signed Campbell to a long-term deal. Yeah, and so again, they seem to be in. Now you're talking Bregman, Campbell, Crochet. So the team is getting behind them, the management. Let's see if they can get this kid hitting again. So we'll pay attention to all of that. But Yankees versus Red Sox was presented by the Pats Nation, Sundays, 8 a.m. Eastern. Tune in tomorrow. As I said, we're going to talk the draft, offensive, defensive line, talk about digs, the owners' meetings, a lot of different things. So make sure you're tuning into that. But when we come back, going to go back in the week in Weekly Rewind. No flipping.
Sundays are for football. And here in New England, that means it's the Pats Nation with CORSO and CATONE.
You have the worst wide receiver room in the National Football League.
This is why the Patriots need us in the draft room. Let's see what the Pats Nation thinks about that, Mark.
Starting June 30th, Sundays, 8 to 9 a.m. on 790 The Score.
Back in with more CORSO and CATONE, the real deal, New England feel. All right, we got to talk some Patriots. Ready to do that, Mark?
Let's go. Let's do it.
Weekly Rewind.
I'm going back through the week. About a weekly rewind.
So, Mark, last week they introduced Diggs to the media.
They love to have these press conferences, don't they?
They love them. They prayed everybody out there before we do anything. But he talked to the media. He seemed comfortable. We're going to hear from him in a second. A couple of times here in this segment, want to hear from him. What I liked about it, he seems to want to bring an attitude, doesn't he?
Yeah. Well, listen, he was a former number 1 receiver. Is he a 1 anymore? No. But he was a 1, Chris. He was one of those guys, and those guys come with an attitude. You're not a number 1 receiver, Chris, unless you have that attitude. He's still got that mentality. Does he have that skill level anymore? Not what he once had, but he's still got the mentality, Chris. That never goes away.
Yeah. Well, he did speak, and this is what he had to say.
I feel like now at this point, the more madder I get, the more focused I get. You know what I'm saying? I'd rather beat you than argue with you. You know what I'm saying? I think when I was younger, I was so caught up in maybe a shouted match or maybe going back and forth with somebody. But at this point in my career, I'm a little older now. I'm in a space where as though I'd rather give you a spanking than but then go back and forth with you. So as far as me being a competitor, I've always been that way. Like even when I was a little boy, I wanted to win at everything that I did. I never wanted to lose. So I'll never lose that. But I think the older I get, the worse it gets because it's like, damn, I really expect to win. So if I lose, it's like, it was my fault.
The best revenge is success.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is that what he's saying right there?
Absolutely he is. Positively, Chris.
Because I love it. I mean, wouldn't you rather hear him talking like that than Polk and Baker?
Oh, those clowns who've never done anything in this league. Talking about, I got the best hands in the league. Polk said, "Yeah, okay, pal.
Best hands.
Okay,
yeah, best hands for only one thing."
But yeah, Chris, I want to hear that. I was ecstatic when I heard him talking like that. Ecstatic.
Should he be this confident?
Yeah, I'm glad he is, Chris. He knows. Listen, he knows how good he is, or once, or was, and is, I guess, and can be. I mean, he must be saying, "Hey, this is my chance to rejuvenate myself and jumpstart myself here, and show everybody I still got it." Right? So yeah, he's confident.
Yeah. Well, then we talk about the knee, and then we're going to get to the owners' meetings in a second. So when we talk about the knee, he talked about the knee a little bit, and this is what he said.
I'm trying to stay ahead of schedule. I've been pretty serious about, the grind process as far as with rehab and everything. So shout out to Dr. Reef. I'm ahead of schedule right now. I'm trying to stay there at this point, trying to work a little smarter. I'm a hard worker, so I try to put a lot on my plate at one time, but I'm trying to reel it back a little bit, just be a little more smarter.
Yeah. So listen, I'm fine with the way this is going. I mean, they're projecting him to be ready to go week 1. So we'll see. I mean, if he takes the first 4 games,
even if it's week 3 or 4, if he's ready the last week of September, Chris, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, let's face it. I mean, even if he's ready for week 1, the first 3-4 games are going to be his tune-up anyway.
Yeah, that's going to be his preseason. Listen, you're not going to see him on a field, Chris, except probably like the backfield during training camp. He ain't getting on the field in an exhibition game. So you're right. Even if the first 3 or 4 games are like his exhibition season, I'm okay with that.
What's a realistic? People out there, what's a realistic expectation for this season? Catches, yards,
1,600 yards, 18 touchdowns,
23 touchdowns. He's going to break the record.
He's going to break Morse's record. No, Chris, if he can catch 70, 80 balls, close, 900 to 1,000 yards, 6-7 touchdowns, I'd be okay with that. I think for this year, I mean, coming off the knee injury, and then next year, maybe he gives you even a better year if he's still got something in the tank. But if he gives you that this year coming off the knee injury, Chris, you wouldn't be okay with that?
No, I'm okay with that because people need to understand too, we talked about this last week. Just because they may think he's the number one receiver, because he's the number one receiver on the New England Patriots, doesn't make him a number one receiver.
Yes.
So you have to temper it, and you have to say, well, what's a good number 2 get you?
Yeah.
And it's Mark's numbers, the numbers he's talking about. That's typically what it gets you. So yeah, that's a successful season, especially if he doesn't play until week 3 or 4. So because they're going to need him for the playoffs.
Yeah. I want to know what you're on today. Listen, here's the thing with him though, Chris. Okay, based on what you just said, he's. I know he might be a number 1 in our locker room, but he's really not a number 1 anymore. He's a number 2.
Yeah.
But teams are gonna defend against him like he's the one because you have nobody else that scares anybody.
That's why it's
unless
imperative.
We can get somebody else.
That's why it's imperative for Travis Hunter to drop to us at number 4. And make sure you're tuning into the Pats Nation tomorrow because we got a lot to talk about with that and some funny things we heard on the radio today. So it was the owners' meetings this week. I want to talk about a couple of rule changes, but first, Vrabel's boy, he can't stand Felger. My God. Did you watch that interview with Michael Felger?
Do you think that he can't stand?
Well, he didn't like him. They had they clashed when he was playing. Yeah. Back then Felger was just a young beat reporter in the locker room giving interviews and trying to be cool. But and Vrabel back then was like, kid, and he kind of had the same kind of vibe, didn't it?
Yeah,
like
it did.
It did. And he asked him too. Did you ever play?
What did you play? Did you play football? And he said, "Oh yeah, I was a tight end, and I was this and that, and
how many touchdowns?
My last game, and how many touchdowns? What's the most touchdowns you had in the game?" And I forget what he said.
Like one. Said, like one touchdown, three.
Vrabel said, "I had 2, and I wasn't a wide receiver."
Right. He said, "I had three touchdowns." He goes, "I had 4 of them or whatever, and I wasn't even."
Yeah.
Anyway, so he was
busting his beans a little bit.
He was busting his chops. Okay. But he did say a couple of interesting things. Everybody tries to link him to Belichick, obviously, but he's not. He said, "I don't consider myself part of Belichick's tree because I didn't coach for him. I didn't work for him in that capacity," which is true. Maybe that's better because every damn coach that's come on Belichick should be a failure. So, but he did talk about that. And then he starts talking about the offensive line. Now, there's a couple of things he said that bothered you? He talked about the offensive line. He talked about Wallace. He talked about everybody gets a fresh start, basically. That they're here, and so we're going to give them their opportunities. He talked about Campbell in the draft, that he doesn't mind the arm length issue and all of that, and I don't either. I've been going back and forth on this, and I'm in the camp now that we're going to talk about it more in the Pats Nation tomorrow, but I'm in the camp that it doesn't bother me.
Well, Vrabel, Chris, makes it a point to say, when you look at the competition he played against, and the fact that he played in the best conference in the country and played against NFL players every week, and look at the tape he said on him playing against those guys.
Sure.
And so I took that as, you don't have a problem with this guy taking him.
Where have I heard that before about the competition in the SEC?
Yeah. Well, we talk about that all the time when it comes to the wide receiver room, but nobody ever listens to us.
Nobody ever listens, But again, but with Travis Hunter, you took something subtle from that.
Yeah,
and with Elliott Wolf too.
More so from Elliott Wolf than Vrabel. But even Vrabel, Chris, talked about, he's a two-way guy, and that's what makes him, what he is, and gives him his swagger. And just a couple of the way he talked about that, Chris, I don't necessarily know if he wants Travis Hunter. I think he's hoping somebody else takes him, and we don't have to make that decision, because I'm assuming they'll take him if he's there. How do you not? They'll get crucified if they don't. But I don't necessarily know, Chris, if he really wants to take him based on what he was saying. Then they asked him about the couple of other guys that he was complimentary of. He talked about, but when we talk about, I know you're going to bring up Elliott Wolf too. Wolf really dropped a couple of little kernels.
Yeah, go ahead.
So Wolf says, well, he's only 180 pounds, and to play him, both ways at this level, it's tough at his size.
But he did say we don't want to stunt him.
But he said we don't want to stunt him. But just the way he was referring to him, and he mentioned the weight a couple of times.
Yeah.
Chris, I don't think they want the kid. I think they're praying that he doesn't fall in their lap. Somebody take him so we don't have to
deal with that problem.
Because I don't think they want him, Chris.
I'll tell you this, though. I have no problem with playing Campbell at tackle. I didn't like what Wolf did, subtle. I didn't like that Wolf said a couple of things, that Campbell is a left tackle and guard. Didn't like that.
He threw that
because
in.
I'm not taking a guard again at number 4, at the 4th pick. And the one thing he also said is, what the hell was the thing he said? He talked about it being awkward. And the thing that really, really bothered me is what he didn't know. I'll find it. But, I mean, generally speaking.
Oh, he didn't know, Chris.
The arm length.
The arm length, that his arm length was measured under 33 at the combine. How did he not know that?
Well, he said no. What he didn't know was that no player in history has ever been an all-pro with that measure, with those measurables.
50 years or something, and he didn't know that.
What the hell do you mean you don't know that? That's you
Chris,
need to know that.
Either he's lying and he's full of beans. If that is true, that he didn't know that, then that's absolute gross negligence, and he should have been removed from his position right after the interview. They should have fired him.
What the hell? Listen. Like I said, I like hearing the things about trying to get faster on defense, which they've done. Clearly, Vrabel walked in that room and said what we've been saying: this team, these linebackers stink, and he's gotten rid of them all. And I told you Bentley was on the hook; he was going.
Listen, you were right that when they released Bentley, he was on the hook, and he did it. I give him credit.
After Taki, I said Bentley's next.
And I'm telling you, Chris, if they draft a linebacker in the draft, your boy Tavai's next. He'll go during training camp.
No, I hope he goes. He's just not. I mean, play special teams.
Here's the difference, though. But Chris, here's the difference with Tavai, Chris. And I'm gonna, I
don't dislike him as a person. Just put him on special teams.
But listen, Chris, with Kraft, it comes down to what?
Money. Always.
Bentley had no more guaranteed money left on his contract.
Right.
If Tavai's got one more year of guaranteed money, he'll stick for one more year.
He's staying right there. And then the last thing I'll say is Vrabel. I mean, we were going to talk a little bit about rule changes, but we won't get to that. But talked about the scheme. I mean, Felger's trying to talk like he understands what the hell he's talking about certain plays you want to get for a 2-gap versus 3-gap. And I don't know if people really understand the difference.
Yeah, but what is the difference, Chris?
Well, I mean, it's a 3-down. It's a 3-lineman front versus it's an odd front versus an even front. Meaning 4-down linemen, like you saw Philly in the Super Bowl with, right? Or 3-down, where everybody's head up. So you got a nose tackle over the center, and then you got 2 other defensive tackles, which typically means you have big defensive tackles. That's a 2-gap scheme. You head up over somebody, and you play in 2 different gaps. Versus 4-man front, it's gap. You're playing a specific gap, and what it's designed to do is it's designed to put pressure forward to the quarterback and to the offense. It's a pressure-based type of defense, which is what it looks like they want to do. So when you look in the draft and you look at some of these big guys, they defensive tackles, and tomorrow we'll talk about it, you stay away from those Vince Wilfork guys because that's not what they're putting together here. So,
which is why, Chris, earlier in the cycle of looking at draft prospects, at number 4, then that the kid from Michigan's name kept coming up, that kid Mason Graham, because he would fit that type of scheme.
Yeah. So we'll see, but that's what went on this week in Weekly Rewind, and so we'll pay attention to it because we're quickly coming to the draft, and we'll listen to what these guys are saying. But Weekly Rewind was presented by CORSO Law Group, CORSOLawGroup.com. And when we come back, we're going to talk Bruins. Well, we're going to talk Celtics, really. A little bit of LeBron James and Stephen A. Smith. You're not going to want to miss that.
No one ever thinks they will be in need of a criminal or traffic lawyer, but things happen. CORSO Law Group is Arizona's leading criminal and traffic law firm. Their 20-plus years experience and attention to detail has helped thousands of people who found themselves in a situation in Arizona. Whether it's a traffic ticket or more serious issue, talk with these expert attorneys. CORSOLawGroup.com. No one ever thinks they will be in need of a criminal or traffic lawyer, but things happen. CORSO Law Group is Arizona's leading criminal and traffic law firm. Call or go online to CORSOLawGroup.com and talk with these expert attorneys who I know will help.
Time for CATONE
Jesus, Joe, he tried to cut me out.
Yeah, listen, I'm sorry.
Come on, over here.
Okay,
Joe.
wait, Catone's comments is next.
All right. Listen, do you know what drives me? I didn't mention this when it happened. There was so much going on in sports that I didn't get a chance to bring this up. Do you know what's the most insane thing? Insanity is this daylight savings time. Who the heck invented daylight savings time? What the hell is that? Is that in adverse to daylight spending time? Why don't we have daylight spending time? No, it's daylight savings time. Like, I don't understand who created this concept. Now, first of all, you gain an hour, lose an hour, but your body is screwed up for a week after it happens. I still don't understand what the point is, right? Other parts of the world don't do it. Canada doesn't do it. If Chris is working with somebody in Canada on a case, he's going to make sure he's looking at the clock because the time's different. What are you kidding me? Depending on the time of the year it is, it's insanity. Then the clocks. You got to actually take all the clocks that you have. You got to reset them all. Whether it's on your it's a stove, it's a microwave, it's the clocks on the wall. You got to take them down. You got to try to spin them and work them and move them. You know how many clocks I broke? Do you know how many clocks I've broke doing that? Listen, I'm going to tell you what else drove me bonkers. My father has cuckoo clocks. He's got a bunch of cuckoo clocks. So guess what happens during daylight savings time? Somebody's got to change the time on these crazy cuckoo clocks. Okay? You want to see a crazy man? My wife was going to lock me up. She was going to lock me up. Lock me up. Listen, some of them have the chains. You got to pull the chains to try to change the time. I snapped the chain. He said, how is it? I said, oh, it's good. We changed the time. I changed it with my finger. I tied the chain up. I cut it. I put the piece in my pocket. I hung the thing back up on the wall. I said, I can't tell the guy I broke the damn thing. I don't know how to goddamn move the chains, right? You need a professional clocksman to change I can't. This is crazy. Just leave the goddamn time alone. What are you going to have daylight savings time for? It's the most insane thing I've ever seen in my life is daylight savings time. I don't know what to do with this. Leave it alone.
So he's somebody. You know, they actually credit somewhat the proposal to Benjamin Franklin. That's why he's on the $100 bill.
What the hell? What the hell is he talking about?
I'm telling you, read it.
I gotta, Joe. You're gonna have to. Because I can't stop laughing right now. Look, so yeah, you make a ton of money. Why don't you pay some kid to go and do the clocks for you?
I'm going to get a kid to change the cuckoo clocks. What the hell do they know? They'll break them worse than me, kid. The change. I thought
the cuckoo clocks. I thought your father's cuckoo clocks was you and your your siblings.
Well, that's true. Listen, they downsized because of their age. So when they moved, I tried to get rid of some of them. No, he wanted them. I couldn't get rid of them. He wanted them.
Some of those things are not like expensive.
Yeah, he's got a couple that are worth a lot of money. I think that's one of the ones I broke.
Yeah. Of course it is. That was coming to you someday, you dumbass.
Yeah, well, that didn't come to me. That's not coming anywhere. Oh, my God.
Mark,
Chris,
I don't even know.
It's nuts. You ever try to change the time on one of those, Joe? Oh, my God. You actually need to be like a professional clocksman to change the time.
We don't observe daylight savings here.
You don't do that over there. Okay. So we do. Okay.
That's why.
So you're lucky.
2 hours, sometimes it's 3 hours from
now.
now.
So you're lucky over there.
Right now we're at 3 hours. We're on Pacific time. Sometimes we're Mountain time. I don't know what the hell time it is during the day anyway. Some people say, but it's. I mean, people say, oh, the 2 hour. I don't know what time it is. I look at the sun. Where's the sun? That's how I tell. I got like
a living on it. That's
what do you call those sundials?
Yeah,
one of those outside.
Sundial, right, Joe? Though the freaking spring forward, fall back. Like what the hell?
So that part I never understood. Like, I never really understood when I lived there. Like I never understood is it fall? Is that back? What does back mean? Is it forward? It's confusing to me. It's a very confusing concept to me. The whole thing, but I think it started. Wasn't it something to do with?
Joe said Benjamin Franklin.
He doesn't know.
He made the. It's he made the first proposal. I think it was like.
What did you do? Put it in the Google. Did the Google tell you that?
Yes, that's Google just told me. It says Benjamin Franklin.
Wasn't it about
the proposal?
Wasn't it about the farming? Didn't they want like an extra hour of light or something?
No. Well,
if
you consider farming, it's not necessarily that. It's so people can make more money. That's what it's always about.
I used to like it.
Why do you think it is the year that it is right now?
There we go.
Oh,
this kid now he's going to start talking about the stars and the moon now.
Yeah, it's the reason why the year started in year one, and we're not in like 1,000 years later, is because of business.
Joe, that's going to be one of our shorts this week.
They needed to start business with a deadline, a new number, basically.
They didn't want people getting up in the morning and trade. Maybe it was for the buses for school and everything. They didn't want you driving in the dark.
Yeah.
Is it dark? I don't know.
You think they didn't have daylight savings time when the Pilgrims and the Native Americans were around?
You should have seen the bus driver I had when I was in school. They were high, drunk, everything. I don't know who the hell knows what they were on.
I pity those poor bus drivers. When you were in school, you must have tortured them.
They were picking kids up, throwing them out of the bus physically. I don't know what was going on over there. I used to like it though in the winter over there when it would get dark real early.
Yeah.
Like I remember the first time I took when my son was old enough, we went to Rhode Island. We went back to see family and everything, and it was like 4:30,
Yep.
and it's dark. It's like dark out.
Yep.
And he says, "Daddy," he goes, "It's only 4. Why is it dark right now? Is it an eclipse? Is it an eclipse?" I said, "Nah, it's just this place over here. This is why we don't live here, pal. This is one of 8,000 reasons."
8,000 reasons. Yeah.
but that's pretty funny stuff, Mark. We don't do it. It's not because I got a grandfather clock here, and I don't know what the hell I would do.
Yeah, you'd have to you'd have to hire somebody to change the time on it if you had to.
Because
you guys do it in reverse, though. You got not in
You'd
reverse.
You'd break it.
Well, it goes to chimes, and then like it goes by has another dial for like the week that passes, the year that it would blow my brain trying to figure out how to do that.
Yeah, my father's had chimes. That's what I busted. The chain on the chimes and I listen. I don't even know what the hell I was trying to do.
Notices.
No, I'm gonna have to do something. Yeah. Well, I got a year.
Well, get Benjamin Franklin in there. Joe looks
Does he watch the show? He's
where that clock? Where
he knows now.
He knows now.
Where that clock is located, Joe. He really doesn't see the time. Look at the time on that clock, so he hasn't realized it yet. Eventually, he'll realize that the time is off.
You conniving, deceitful bastard! You have the same stuff you've been doing since you were 10 years old. You're still doing it. Anyway, that's funny.
My wife said, "What did you do?" I said, "I put the piece of chain in my pocket." I have it. It's in my house. I kept it because I will have to eventually try to get it fixed. But I said I put it in my pocket. What was I going to do with it?
At least it's right twice a day.
Yeah.
Does he ever get mad at your wife for anything?
No, never.
Blame her.
Never.
There you
Just
go.
blame her.
That's a good idea. But
There
he knows
you go.
I changed. But he knows I did it. I changed the times.
We'll see. We'll come up with a good plan on the break. But good stuff. Catone's comments was presented by the Pats Nation. Sundays, 8 a.m. Eastern. Tune in tomorrow. We're going to have it all. We're going to have draft talk, offensive line, defensive line. We're going to have more digs talk, owners meetings, everything like that in more depth. Now, when we come back, we're going to have B's and C's, no flipping.
Sundays are for football. And here in New England, that means it's the Pats Nation with Corso and Catone.
You have the worst wide receiver room in the National Football League.
This is why the Patriots need us in the draft room. Let's see what the Pats Nation thinks about that, Mark.
Starting June 30th, Sundays, 8 to 9 a.m. on 790 The Score.
Back in with more Corso and Catone, the real deal, New England Field. All right, so I don't want to talk about the Bruins. But anyway, let's go Bruins, Celtics, B's and C's. Joe.
Hit it! The Boston Celtics are the world champions, and they have shown the world how great a ball club they really are. Screen shot,
Okay, so you know what, Mark? The only thing I'll say about the Bruins is they've lost, 8, 9 in a row now? And they're limp. What do they got left? Like 8 games, something like that?
Something like that. They're limping to the finish line.
And I hear some people saying, well, they should try to lose. That's what they're doing. I mean, I don't think they're trying.
I just think they stink. Yeah, I was going to say that. I don't think they're trying, Chris. They stink.
That team's a mess. That team's an absolute mess. And now they're going to get a good pick. And they're also a mess in selection in the draft, too. Don Sweeney. You trust them?
No. Sweeney and Neely? I don't trust either one of those guys, Chris.
No,
so that's the problem.
The last draft pick they had that was good. Still waiting for Patra to come around. So that's the Bruins. I mean, if anybody, send us an email if you want to know anything more about the Bruins. But Celtics, let's talk about the Celtics. Last week we said we dodged the bullet, which we did with Tatum.
With Tatum's injury, the ankle injury.
I was shocked. Yeah, nothing really shocks me anymore, but I was shocked to see him only miss 1 game.
And Chris, I think he wanted to play in that game, but they said, no, you're going to sit and rest. I mean, I was kind of shocked myself. I don't understand why he played. I mean, I would have said, listen, you'll play when we come back from the road trip. You're out at the very least, the rest of the road trip, you're going to sit. But he wanted to play, Chris. I mean, I give him credit. You know what? And for all the flack that people give Tatum, Chris, in that sense, he is an old school guy. Like, he wants to be out there. He wants to play. He's not one of these guys who wants to sit and like somebody else who plays for the Lakers started that whole nonsense. LeBron sitting out and resting games. He started this nonsense.
He started a lot of nonsense, didn't he?
That's not Tatum though. Chris.
What do they call it? What do they call it? Workload or what's the
load management? Load management. That's not Tatum though, Chris. Tatum wants to be out there.
Mark, they had to put a rule in. The NBA had to actually put a rule in that says they're going to review when guys sit out, and you're going to get fined
if you miss X number.
If you miss X number of games. That's how bad the NBA has gotten about guys wanting to play on the court. So yeah, can't have it both ways. People out there, I'm thrilled to death.
But in this case, I would have said to him, "You need to rest a couple of games at least."
I mean, he looked pretty good. And I think the one thing I'll say about Mazzulla is I think he's been good. I think he's been great, actually, at how he manages minutes for these guys throughout the season. I mean, they're pushing that 60 win again, Mark. 60 win
which is
mark.
Meaningless. I mean, I guess okay, maybe they'll probably hit it, but which I really don't care about that, but they're probably they'll hit it.
No, I mean, it'll be like a team record or something like that. I think they already have it, but I just like how, I love how they look going in right now. Like that's why I'm okay that he's playing, because
last week you were saying they better not.
If he was hurt, if he was hurt, but he's not hurt. He's clearly not hurt.
All right.
I mean, look, I'm okay because you don't want to screw with the, what do they say? What they say in that movie, Bull Durham? Don't ever mess with. Right. Don't ever mess with the streak. Don't ever mess with it. And right now this team is kicking on all cylinders. You got guys breaking records all over, Derek White, you got Pritchard. That's probably going to be sixth man of the year. Take that, whatever you want to on that. And they look good.
The one guy, Chris, I would think about doing something with, if you want to call it load management, I don't care what you call it, is Porzingis.
God, every time he's out there, doesn't it look like I get every time he's under the basket and people are around his legs, I hold my breath because I always feel like, is this going to be the moment?
You have to get him through, Chris, the next 5 or 6 games, and then even in the opening round series.
Opening 2 rounds.
No, but at least the opening round series, Chris, I think you have to limit him. And you know what? You jump out early, rest him. Don't let him play like a ton of minutes. He doesn't have to. As long as you're winning, use Horford, rotate him in and out, give him a lot of breaks, because you got to try to get him further into this playoff cycle, Chris, healthy, because you're going to need him against Cleveland, like you've been saying all year, and you're going to need him if you face OKC in the final. You're going to need him.
Yeah, and the good thing about it is when you're in the playoffs, there's no back-to-backs. So
it's a good thing. You're right, Chris, about that.
Been good this year and back-to-back. I mean, they've been pretty good, but they haven't. There are teams that are worse.
Yeah.
But with their mileage, their age, Horford, this helps.
It definitely it'll help.
That for sure. And man, the first 6-0 road trip in Celtics history. I mean, of all the things going back, Celtics history, first 6-0 road trip. That surprised me.
Oh, that surprised me. I found it hard to believe. I'm looking it up, and I'm like, that can't be right. I mean, all those great teams they've had.
Bill Russell's teams and all those
That's
teams.
what I mean.
Past. I mean, I was definitely surprised by that. But damn, and I'm not saying they beat, the best teams in basketball or anything.
No.
But they had trouble with Memphis at home. And then, what you're starting to see, though, with this team is better fourth quarters, better closing. You'll see them allow teams back in the game a little bit in the third quarter.
Yep.
But then they're closing. You're starting to see them close out teams, and they're winning these games. Most of the games, I think all 6 games, they won by 10 or more points.
They did. And Chris, you're right about the closing, because if you remember in the middle of the season, January, early February, they blew a bunch of those fourth quarter leads. Remember, they'd be up 16, 17 points, and they'd lose them in the fourth quarter and lose the game.
Well, the one thing what I will say is watching them play, one of the big concerns that we've had, right, is the 3-point shooting. Okay. And just mind you, they're playing the Heat tonight and they're losing 40-28. But has been 3-point shooting, too many 3-point, they're relying on it. What's going to happen in the playoffs, right? Yeah. Are they going to rely on the 3 points and so on? Now, like for example, against Memphis, they took 62 threes. Which
one short of the record, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and so they were 33% in that game. Yeah. I worry. Are you still worried about it?
I'm worried about the fact, Chris, that they don't deviate. That's the way they play. That's their system. They keep firing. Eventually, if you shoot enough of them and you have enough of a shot advantage on attempts, it is the belief of Joe Mazzulla that eventually they'll go in, and if you shoot 20 more than the other team, you should win the game, and that's his philosophy. But there's games you're going to go 1 for 20, and you're going to lose. But he doesn't adjust, Chris. And in the playoffs, you should be able to say, okay, guys, it's not working tonight. Hey, draw something up and say, we're going to move the ball more inside. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. In the playoffs, you should do that. I get the regular season, but he doesn't do it in the playoffs either, Chris. He's not going to deviate.
The one thing I will say is even with, so that's why I went back and was looking at some of these previous games, 51 against the San Antonio, I said 62, and they're roughly around 33. Now, their percentage is not as good as last year. Last year, they were breaking records with their percentage. Yeah. They're down. All the players across the board are down with their numbers. But the last 10 games or so,
they've come back up.
It feels different.
Yeah.
It feels different. Like, I was surprised when I saw 62. Like, I was surprised because when you watch the game,
you didn't think
the ball movement's better. They're spacing the court better. The ball's hopping around more. There are some things happening down low. There are some lobs happening. There are some pick and rolls and hitting the cutter. There's a lot of different things happening with this offense right now that I didn't see when they were just chucking up. You know what I mean? It just looks different, doesn't it?
Yeah. No, it does. It does. It looks different. And I'm going to tell you what, Chris. The person, and you mentioned fourth quarters, the person who's been hitting some clutch shots in the fourth quarter, 3-pointers, clutch shooting in the fourth quarter, has been Derek White.
Yeah.
Derek White, the last, I'd say 10, 15 games, Chris, is starting to round into a different type of a form. Yeah. Okay. And he looks a lot better than he did 15, 20 games ago. That has been a glaring difference to me in this run as well.
Yeah. And I've also noticed that Brown's been out some, that they're not handling the ball as much. And that has to mean something.
They've been letting Holiday and White handle the ball. Yeah.
And Pritchard. And
Pritchard, yeah. Oh, you love Pritchard. You got to always throw him in. Pritchard.
How can you not love Pritchard? Oof.
Oh, I'm just saying you got to throw him in. Though.
I'm still waiting for that, my Christmas present, my Pritchard shirt to be delivered. Don't give me a jersey. I don't wear guys' jerseys.
Joe, call Ben Franklin. Get him something. Get him a T-shirt or something. Call Ben Franklin. Come on.
So we'll see how they look going into the playoffs. We like what we see. Before we get to the NCAA tournament, Mark, we got to take a couple minutes on this.
This has been sticking with you. You keep
this drama
me every day.
Listen, you started this last week.
I started with those comments a couple of weeks ago. I did.
With this LeBron versus Stephen A. Smith, but this is now taking on a whole life. You're even seeing AI generated.
And you got to be careful because you don't know what's real and what's not.
You don't know what's real. There was one that was out there with LeBron. He was saying, "Oh, I know I was a bad father. I know that I know I made the Lakers draft him." That's what he said, and it's not real.
No, it's AI. Yeah,
it's AI.
But there was one from.
But I don't know the difference. I'm 170 years old. I don't know what I'm looking at.
But Chris, there was one from First Take where it was real, and he and Stephen A. responded to him.
What the hell is? I mean. Whose camp are you in on this? I'm in Stephen A. Smith.
Oh, I'm in Stephen A.'s camp. 100%. I'm in Stephen A.'s camp. Absolutely.
What the hell? Who the hell? This is all about the show and the brand for LeBron James. Every ounce of it.
Sure it is.
See,
Just
Stephen A.
listen.
Smith's got a brand too, okay, and he's doing some of that, but he's got more passion behind it. He's, I look at him more as the genuine article. When I look at LeBron lost all credibility with me when he approached him on the court. When he did it on the court and he came on during a game or after a game, he got face to face with Stephen A. Smith, said what he had to say, and then walked off. Walked away. Because you needed the cameras to be showing that.
Of course,
it was just like Will Smith slapping the other guy in the face on the.
Yeah. Instead of addressing him after backstage or something, he had to do it on stage, right? Like a big, yeah. But listen, LeBron, Chris, this is all about, you're right, his brand. Now all of a sudden they're saying LeBron's going to take a pay cut at the end of the year. He's going to opt out of his deal so he can renegotiate the salary so they can bring players in for him and Doncic so they can win a championship next year. He'll bring in a couple of extra pieces,
I believe that when I see it.
Because why? Because he wants to keep playing. And listen, what does he want to do? I think he wants to be like Brady. He wants to play till he's 45 years old.
He ain't Brady.
It's not Brady.
He ain't no Brady. Why, is he on the top of his game? Is he still winning championships?
Well, he hasn't.
So
Last 21 was COVID. And I'm telling you right now, if COVID doesn't hit, they don't win it that year. If they had to play full 82 games and didn't take a month off, 6 weeks off and rest their body and get themselves re-energized with whatever they were taking, he don't win that.
Well, I'll just end with saying this, okay? And then I want you to talk about NCAA. I'll end by saying this. Don't you dare come in front of him, Stephen A. Smith, and say, I'm protecting my family. I'm protecting my family. McAfee, call him out on that too. Don't sit there like a puppet either, Pat McAfee, and let him just talk and say what he needs to say. Go protect your ESPN friend, over there. That's who he should be sticking up for. But here's the thing. Well, because he got the interview,
I know. Of course he did.
So you got LeBron on the show. But here's the thing. Don't come out and say I'm protecting my family. This had nothing to do with Bronny. Stephen A. Smith said nothing about Bronny. All he said was the kid wasn't ready. He called you out as a father. That's what he did. He called you out as a father, not the kid.
Based on just watching video, Chris, of him. If you just watch the tape, the kid's not ready. Kid's not ready for the NBA.
No. So don't give me this. I'm protecting my family. You put your family in a bad spot. Period. End of story. You did that to the kid, not Stephen.
Do you honestly think that the Lakers would have drafted that kid?
No.
That kid would have went undrafted if it wasn't for LeBron. Undrafted.
No chance. Just own it and shut your mouth. Will you please? And count your money. So, Mark, talking about, let's move to the NCAA tournament. Right now you have 12 losses.
Yeah,
and I have
a couple of those
16.
that were tough. Yeah.
I have 16 though. I have 16 losses.
That's good.
That sucks.
That's all right. You don't know.
You hear the backhanded insult, Joe?
Oh, what? Listen, Joe doesn't even turn in brackets. Then he says, "Oh, I was sleeping." He said
he gives one at the
turn
end.
those in.
He gives one at the end. He says, "I only got 8 losses here."
Yeah.
What do you think?
It's only good when there's 4 teams in it. That's it.
So the Final Four, Chris, we got Duke going up against Houston, and we've got Auburn going up against Florida, an SEC matchup, like an SEC game.
Yeah.
I picked Florida to beat
too.
Houston in the championship
Yeah.
and win the whole thing. But I'm going to be honest with you, Chris, after watching this I didn't watch enough ACC this year. I usually do, and I kick myself for that. I don't know if I picked Florida, so I hope they win. But I don't think anybody's going to beat Duke, Chris. This team just looks like they got too much. They just keep bringing guys. They're tall. They're athletic. They're tall at every level. I picked Florida, Chris, but I think Duke is probably going to win this thing. They're playing the best right now.
Well, you heard it from he's our basketball guy. He's our college basketball guy. So you heard it from him first. Stick around to us and let us know what you think in Heated Hotline. But Corso and Catone was presented by the Pats Nation Sundays, 8 a.m. Tomorrow we're going to have so much, including owners' meetings, continue with the draft, offensive, defensive lines. And make sure you come back next week to this show as we're going to have more baseball, Catone's comments, Celtics, and so much more. We are Corso and Catone, the real deal, New England feel. See you next Saturday.
Now by Corso and Catone on AM 790, The Score, iHeartRadio, iTunes, wherever you podcast. Or subscribe to the YouTube channel and catch the chaos every Saturday at noon.